All right, we've kind of gone through and talked about our seasons. I have you really thinking about your life, and I want to talk to you about tiering. So I get this question a lot. We had a video on how many goals you should have, and I gave my suggestions in a quick little video. But now I want you to have some autonomy to decide what tier your goal is. Now, in the description of this video, I talk about the 4 tiers. I'm going to talk about them here, and I'm going to show you the activity I want you to do now that you've kind of themed out and you're trying to figure out what goals should go where. There are 4 tiers to your goals, and they're going to change every month. This is where you're going to give yourself the permission to work on multiple goals, but you're going to work on them at a different intensity. I once was getting so mad at myself because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm working on the same goals all the time, but I realized I'm working at them at a different level. Now, the 4 tiers you're going to focus on are new, established, maintenance, and task. Tier 1 goals, these are goals that are brand new. So when you're looking at all of the goals that we've kind of brain dumped already, what I want you to do is go through and say, when will they be a tier 1? Now, these are new. They need the whole 5-step process that we're going to talk about. They need the entire breakdown. You want to focus on them. They're probably going to connect with your theme. So if you said that self-care was your theme for March, you will most likely have a tier 1 goal in March. I'm going to show you this in a second, okay? These are ones where you're tracking, you're focused. Maybe you're listening to a self-care podcast or taking a course. They're your immersion. Tier 2 goals are establishing goals. So if, for example, self-care was your tier 1 and you made a SMART goal, and that goal, was that you're going to meditate every day for 5 minutes or 5 times a week. Because I don't ever recommend you do anything more than 5 times a week. Then we set ourselves up for perfectionism, but we'll talk about that in A when we do the breakdowns, okay? So if in March your tier 1 goal was to meditate, it's new, you're focused on it. In April, you've done it for a bit, it's still not completely solid, so it could still use some tracking, it still needs some of the 5-step process, but it's not the main focus. So in April, maybe you're like, finance is our theme. Well, I'm going to make a new goal that's tier 1, that's finance related, and I'm going to move my self-care goal to tier 2. It's establishing. It's not the brand new one, but it's there. Our 3rd tier is what we call maintenance. Maintenance goals are ones that you don't really need to make the 5-step process for, but if you don't write it down, they won't happen. And a great example for me is date night. We had a marriage focus, a relationship focus 1 month, right? It was a tier 1. We really hit it home. Then it became a tier 2, and now it's a tier 3. We'll go on date night once a month. But if I don't write date night on my planner, if I don't decide it in advance, we don't pick the date at the end of every month. We will pick our date night for the next month. We will talk to my mother-in-law. We will get the babysitter and decide what we're doing. We plan it out the month before. If I don't do that, it's not going to happen. And then we're going to be months in and there's no date night. So tier 3 are goals that you pretty much have, my evening routine, my morning routine. Those tend to be, for me, tier 3. But they didn't start out as tier 3. They started out as a tier 1. And so some months they'll become tier 3. Now, tier 4 are my tasks, my routines, things that just happen. Great examples of this include, for me, Girl Scouts. I've mentioned Girl Scouts a lot in these videos, right? Because this is exactly something that is a tier 4. The holidays, back to school, things that are short term, but if you don't write them down, they're not going to happen. So when we talk about the 3 different types of goals in A, and I show you how to break down your project-based goals, these are project-based goals, but they're short term. So for example, for Girl Scouts, I need to plan out the meeting, get the materials for the meeting. Each week I email my parents, right? I need to reconcile our bank account. I need to sew my daughter's patches, right? I have all these little things. The holidays, I need to go buy the cards and wrap the gifts and all those things. Those are tier 4. So these are goals that I'm tracking because if I don't write it down, my brain is going to forget it, but they're really not focuses for me. So let me show you what that looks like in our planner. So previously you've gone through and you brain dumped all the goals that you have for the quarter. We can go through and you can highlight them or you can pull them out. This is what I want you to do now is decide where in your 12 weeks, again, we could say January, February, March, it's just a quarter, but where in your 12 weeks are you going to focus on it? And inside that month, what tier is it going to become? Here's what we're going to do. All right, so let's do that meditation example. This is what it would look like here. So the goal for myself is, we'll put category here as self-care. I don't want that bolded. Category here is self-care, and you'll get a blank copy of this to work on, okay? So if my category is self-care, and my goal is to create a, I'm going to write daily, but you know what I mean. I mean 5 times a week. Let's say consistent, and we'll talk a little bit about what that word means in a little bit, but consistent meditation practice, okay? Now, when it is a tier 1, you're going to define what, and I'm going to show you that in the next video, but like what consistent looks like, okay? But that's the goal. In March, for example, it is a tier 1. It is brand new. I'm focusing on it for that. It's going to do the whole 5-step process. Now, I'm going to copy this over and I'm going to say, okay, it's a self-care goal, but now we're in April. So let's pretend our 12 weeks is March, April, May, okay? My hope is that it then becomes a tier 2 goal, all right? I'm still focusing on it. I still might have some rewards. It's still not 100% consistent for me, but I'm working on it. And then as I move into May, my hope then is it becomes a tier 3. And a lot of these will stay tier 3 unless they're task-based. Does that make sense? So see how I've taken one goal I have for the quarter and I've asked myself, where is it? This kind of goes hand in hand with our learn, plan, do method as well. You're thinking, how do I make it grow? Let's do another example. Say our goal is finances, okay? Now, I recommend that a lot of people will say, how many goals do I need, Cara? If you have one goal in each tier, I think you're good to go. You don't have to have one goal in each tier. There are some months where I have nothing in my new category because I'm just working on creating things to be maintenance. And that's all right as well, okay? But if you need a number, because I know some of us need numbers, do you have one in each area? All right, so my finance goal, right? So the finance goal here is like, I want to save, you know, like $5,000 for a trip, okay? That's my goal for the quarter. That's a lot of money to save for a quarter. Let's say 3,000. That's even a lot more. All right, whatever. We're gonna go with it. My goal is to save $3,000 for a trip. Now I notice here in March that I already have a tier 1 goal and I'm working on meditation. My focus was self-care. But in April, my themed focus was finances. So in April, this is going to become a tier 1. Now, what this could look like is so different. We'll talk about that in A. Maybe I'm learning, I'm taking a course. Maybe I'm planning, I'm going through and figuring out how much money we are spending. I'm creating a budget. Here's just my end goal for the quarter, all right? So what I want you to do now is go to that list of goals that you brain dumped for the next 12 weeks that probably had way too many goals on it. And I want you to go through the tiered planner and ask yourself, in what month for the next 12 weeks, and do this process every 12 weeks, what tier is it going to be? If you notice that you have like 7 tier 1 goals for 1 month, you're going to want to back up and say, this is too many. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to quit because that's what we do, right? And I'm going to say, nope. Where do I want this to be a tier 1? Again, you can have multiple tier 1 goals, totally fine, based on your season. Go back to that yearly planner. Does this month make sense for me to have multiple tier 1 goals? Should I say I'm not going to do this yet and put this in the next month? Do I want a month where I only have tier 2 and 3 goals? Okay. And then you can also put the tier 4. So like maybe that you're like holiday stuff. Not very, you know what I mean? Like not very. Actually, let's put holiday stuff here. We'll put holiday stuff as our category here. We'll put our goal to be to like, I don't want to say get through the holidays, but like, you know, complete all the holiday joy. And we'll break that down, right? I'm going to focus on that in December, okay? Now, this isn't a tier 1 goal because it's not new. It's a tier 4 goal because it's task-based. I have all these things I want to do and I want to make sure I'm focusing on them. If you know your kid's birthday is in August, maybe in July, kid birthday is a tier 4. You're starting to work on the tasks. So see how we're always saying, where are we going? And we're backing up. Go back to that huge list of goals you brain dumped, drop them in this organizer, ask yourself, what tier is it? With the reminder, if it's not going to look perfect, it's okay if it's not equal. Don't forget those things we worked on in S, okay? If you've got questions, bring them to a coaching and accountability call, and one of our coaches can help you figure out where to put your goals inside your quarter. In A, I'm going to talk about the breakdown, okay? Right now, we're just planning. Organizing your goals is about learning the seasonal method. Where do you put things? Where does it fit? And then in A, we break it all down.